Hi, and welcome to another episode of Words with Al. And this time I will do a deep dive on the Albanian language and why it has been misunderstood. Hopefully my audio is a bit better now than what it was in the last video. I noticed that the audio was really bad, so I'm doing a better one now. Okay. But in essence here, why is the Albanian language significant? It's not more significant than any other language, of course. All languages are significant in their own right and represent a period of development for that specific group. Okay, that's all. Let's not delve into nationalities and psychological identities. We're looking at a common history here. So, without further ado, let's go on. The Dictionary of Albanian Alphabet, Gheg and Tosk. So I will speak a little bit about it first, at least some key points here that I want to communicate, which is that the modern form of Albanian today is not as it's not archaic. It's the roots of the words that are. Okay? And Albanian has been able to save and maintain and retain most of them, a lot of them, quite a huge percentage in contrast or in comparison to other modern languages. Okay? We also have this problem in language or linguistics or language development, which is that we do not include all the sounds that we use when we made alphabets. That regards for Latin, to ancient Greek, to Cyrillic, to the Nordic languages, and so on, etc., etc. They didn't include all the vowels or all the consonants or possible variations that existed within that language group. This also accounts for Albanian. So in other words, the more developed a language is, the further away it is from its origin, right? In some languages we can just strip and we'll still find the root. But in modern ones we can't, because they've lost it. They had it once upon a time, but then they lost it because they didn't need it anymore. They made new words. And that's how we get new languages. Okay? The language development in itself looks actually maybe a bit, or most probably, possibly, very, very different from how we understand it today. So, this will be this is my attempt. Okay, see, I lost my camera there for a second, it seems, maybe more, but it doesn't matter. What matters is what we are going to go through. So let's not slow down. So as I said in the previous video, I spoke a little bit about linear A and B Greek and how I think it is actual a representation of a language, of Indo-European language, the Indo-European language group, or maybe just one part of it, because we know that the other ones went through Anatolia and then up past the Caucasus, used some different words, but still the root were the same. This is why I land on that the root was the same. They may have built different words, but they still kept the root. Okay, so we go on. So this is what I started on with the last video as well, saying that vowels is the beginning of language. Vowels come first and then consonants. Consonants are further building blocks to give depth and intuitive signaling to the word itself. For instance, like boom, boom, right? We intuitively understand what boom is. But this is what is not included in language when we learn about language or even the alphabet. We don't include all the letters because there is a difference between ah and ah. Right? The intonation is important. When you cut it, how long it is, because these are determining the dimension of the thing that we speak of. So for instance, like something E is up again, something U is down. But yes, so this is me gathering all the semantics for the shortest possible words that words and sounds really, but they have semantics. Okay, and what we find is, we find he, meaning he, him, his, but also as in is, or the, this, that, ask, answer, no, one, any. Okay, we get a lot of semantics here, which is understandable. Same with we find she, her, hers, and there, come, look, yes. Right. And then we have which can also be like an a Norwegian where we find wonder, underbar, mind, to think is something up there. E is surprise, shock, pain, beautiful, feel, listen, sense. E. And E. Oh, right. So we have different feels. Each sound has a different feel, has a vibe. Yeah, that's important. I think vibing is very important here. I don't think it is. And then what we also get, another problem, is that we don't all agree upon what letters represent what sound. So for instance, like the word earth, the English word earth is written E-A-R-F-T-H, but the sound would actually be, and even if you go into the dictionary and you look at how the sound is, it's written U-R-T-H, which then makes it earth, which is not the actual sound. The sound is earth, which is an it's an in Norwegian or Scandinavian and an Albanian right? So this is another way how written form creates distinctions where there really are none. There are no distinctions, but our written form make it seems as though it is. Okay, so let's go on. We have O. Yeah, but as you can see, I put in the actual Norwegian letter here, O, so that people will get it, because we use different letters for the same sound. And within this category, we find no, disagreement, a call, hey you, oh, a surprise, oh, or everything, oh, or everyone, oh. So it's very simple. This is actually very intuitive. Even kids would understand this, what I am speaking about. But adults might have difficulties. And then we have U, which we also spoke about in the previous video. This is regards to me, us, direction, path, doing, action. U, and it's a low one. It's closer to earth. Earth, again, see, earth is down there. Jord is also earth. Toka, talk, ta. Yeah, at least you will get it once if you know any language. Obviously you do, but the more you know, you're going to see a pattern. That is my point here. And then we have I or U, yeah. So that depends on what language you are looking at this from. But yeah, I actually meant E, as in she, shell, she, he. We have the Proto-Indo-European word sky, she, comes from the Albanian word he, which means divine. The divine, hia, hunor. Today we say hunor, but the essence, the root word is he. So he and she are pretty much the same word. We just see that sh has been added to sh. So we get she, he, but they both pertain to the above, the sky, the heaven, the sky. Okay, and what is the sky? It is divine. So let's go on. And another fun fact: the Albanian word öl, okay, which means stars, but it is also divine, or the above, which we get hu, right? Öl became al for all, okay? And so the same word just changed semantics and had a shift from y, became a, öl, all. Okay, this is very logical, self-explanatory. But it is the divine, and these links is what is bringing my whole research together. So let's go on. Another fun fact about the Albanian language is that it has very many vowels. Many vowels, many, I'm going to talk a bit more about that, and many that I personally did not know, but I have heard, but did not really distinguish them because they have not been distinguished in the alphabet, nor in the history. We don't talk about it. And but this is actually the fact. And this happens to many languages as well. This happened in Norway, it happened in Sweden, because you have to have one standard language and you can't have tons of letters. So you're just trying to generalize them as much as you can, which then unfortunately leads to an exclusion of variants that show the link from other languages, okay? So we have here a, yeah, that's a, yeah, that's right. And then we have 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 o, and then we have o, a rougher one, and then we have u, and then I, I think that's a and then and then, well, we have many, and I don't know how to pronounce all of them, honestly. I'm not going to go into that. But we have, for instance, ni. So the longer and shorter the sound determines its sense. So ni means feel. That literally means to feel. Whilst ni means the unit one. So the length of a vowel determines what is happening. But we didn't include that. That's like the Chinese. The Chinese have that. They have the I, E. So depends on where you put the pressure. So I, right? So you have a falling E, you have a rising E, you have a flat E, and then you have just the E. And so you have many forms, and these have not been included. So this is just my point. Let's go on. There is so much more to be said about this, obviously. Okay, here we have another further explanations of these vowels that are not included in research or the academia today, which is very stupid. It kind of like shows you how little we know. Everything, the current knowledge today is pretty much the most apparent ones, the most powerful ones got to the top, and then wrote the history, and then that just crystallized, and then we're like, oh, that is, you know, these are the main languages, this is where we come from. And that's not the truth. The truth is that these were the powerful forces, and that the language developed through politics, religions, and wealth. Okay, and these three determining factors were what led to development. And Albanian, unfortunately, was left totally outside of this. So, which is why it retains a lot of, it didn't undergo academical changes. Thank God, right? So a lot of the arguments for refuting Albanian as ancient is in fact what has preserved its ancient features. So let's do that again. So that means that if Albanian had underwent a lot of academical changes and formalizations and standardizations, then what we would see is it would have lost its archaic features. But because it was poor, unwealthy, powerless in the region, it managed to survive and retain those ancient features, which is why we are here and I am making this video. So I'm bringing these features up in the light. I want them to be known, and I'm writing a book about it too, so it will be known. But okay, so let's go on. Let's read some of these words. Ner. We have two, like ner and non. Nënë. Ner, nënë. Yeah. And then we have a, mas, bas. And then we have prap, prapa, prap. So it's a stronger a faster one. And then you have a, knachet, ha. So that's like with a breath out. Knachet, ha. Knachet. And then we have parapa, parapa. That is the 4C. That is beautiful. That's where we also get these paradox, paradigm, paradise. Okay? So paradise literally means paradis. Okay? It's paradis. So before knowledge. We were living in paradise before knowledge. The moment we were knowledgeable, we created suffering. We understood suffering. Right? So, and paradox means before, dok means to look, to seem, to appear as. So the first appearance, when you say something is paradox, you say that's just the first impressions. There are more impressions, which meaning that it has a dual reality. So do not be fooled by its first impression. So that's where we get the word paradox. And then we have paradigm. Paradigm is very beautiful because it is the first paradigm, paradia, which means the first knowledge. That means the first knowledge. So when we have a paradigm shift, we are shifting from the first knowledge, getting to a more complex and elaborate or advanced stage, which we then call the shift, paradigm shift. So we're moving from the first knowledge to the second knowledge. So there you go. Either way, let's go back to this. And then you have the word there. So there. That's almost not pronounced, but it is pronounced. There might be other dialectical changes that I don't know. But I do speak many. I know Albanian very well. I've been exposed to very many variants of Albanian, and many of them are unintelligible to each other. Okay? So that's how big variant we find. Let's go on. We have the word menoi. It's like drit, where you almost don't hear the drit. We have included a lot of silence letters in Albanian that we don't need. But we did it because we wanted to formalize our language and distinguish ourselves a little bit, I guess. But we didn't need to. But we kind of did as well because we had so many semantics within a word. For instance, like ma. Ma means mom. It means don't. It means enough. It means big. It means behind, must, ma, hold. So many things. So we had to create distinctions. Mas, mon, bon, bart, etc. So we have many then variants, but in truth they all are ma. Okay, so now let's go back to the video. I'm just talking, but I want to share everything that I know because there is so much of it. It's hilarious, like it is very hilarious. Okay, then we have kos, kur, shchur, dor, hina. See, there's a totally different type of I that we don't see anywhere else. Mrana, that's within. Mrana. Hana, right? Jush. And we have even a Y with a little thingy bob over here. Jush. And that's because U is not the ul. Jush. I think it's like it's a stronger sh. Jush. And then you have huna. Nose. Okay. So this is just to illustrate all the different types of sounds that have not been included. Very important. And we will include them. I will include them. Okay. And then we have more. See, even more. Okay, so this is pretty much the same. Then I think I just done this twice, trying to make this a bit more easily readable. But yeah, it's pretty much represents the same thing. Yes. But in essence here, what we have, I'm going to make more. Okay, so I'm just dividing this up. In essence, what we have a lot of words and sounds that have not been included in today's science. And then linguists and language researchers, have formed theories based on obviously very little data. They have not taken all the data into consideration. If I am going to make a theory about something, I need all the data. I can't exclude data. And Albanian has been ridiculously excluded. Not only because of like historical exclusion in terms of Albania being separated from the dictatorship and communism, etc., but also in general, it has not been understood. And Albanians themselves don't understand how old Albanian is. And many will even believe, or maybe not see what I am saying here, but this will be made much more clear as we go. It will just unfold. But this is obviously a big idea. It will take time. There's a lot of data to go through. Many threads out here that we need to gather and to see the cloth, the outfit that language represents. So this is, yeah. What else? Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. There is a lot to say. There is much more to say. I haven't given you the monosyllabic map that I made of all the syllables, which are then very, very important. But what we see here in essence is that Albanian is an organic language, meaning it was created by the people. The people created the language. It was not an academic language. This was not created through academia, through churches or religious powers, elites, etc. It wasn't. It was just of the people. And the reason for that is because it is very simple. It is ridiculously simple and self-explanatory in a way or sense. well, in sense, intuitively in sense, because we are in a body. Don't forget, we are in a body, and we have all a similar type of body. This body is replicated as many variants, but it is obviously the same body, which then brings us back to the root of what we're saying, that even our languages can be deciphered using a modern body. Okay. What else can be said? I think, yeah, another thing to be said about the Albanian language is that independent of the different time periods, because obviously if Albanian is so old, it must have changed many times. And that is true. It has changed many times. It has changed ridiculous amount of times, but every time it fell, it was suppressed or some other power won, it lost its words and returned back to its monosyllables. Okay, this is very important. So every word it had that it developed through the time when it had power was lost when they were subjugated by Rome, and then later by Slavs, and then later by pretty much everyone, okay? But we're not going to go back, but they were free during the ancient times. And during the ancient times, we're getting back to actually Indo-European times. So then there were no distinctions between these languages. It's not that much, at least. There were, definitely, but not as much. That degree increases as time goes on, and exponentially, in fact, just like our technological development. It took us 200 years to get to like where we are, but then within those 200 years, we've literally passed all barometers. And that's the same with languages and language today. So what I'm saying is that Albanian is key to understanding Indo-European languages, and independent of the times it has developed, every time it was subjugated or suppressed, it lost its words but maintained its monosyllables, which is also, I think, why it never died out, because it's very natural. It's very easy to remember, in contrast to natural language, or sorry, an artificial language that is made today, like say Norwegian or Danish, or even English. Even English is an artificial language. Because it was written by the church, by the powers, by the king, and so on. So it doesn't mean that the language itself is artificial. It just means that the written form is. It stemmed from an organic language, but later became written, and developed, and then it lost its origin. Okay, yeah. So that's why it can't explain its own words today. And that accounts for most languages, okay? So that accounts for German, for Norwegian, for Finnish, yeah, for all of them. French, Spanish, whatever, all of them, they can't explain their own words. That is, wait a second, of course they can explain them, but they can't explain the smallest units of sound, which Albanian can. So there you go, that sums this up. Thank you very, very much, and thank you for listening. You have a good evening. I'm going to show you the last slide just for a little fun. What I found as well, yeah, paradoxia, paradoxes. That is before appearance, or the first appearance, yeah. And then we have dreci, which is very crazy, because that dreci means devil, and dreci means devil, and dreci means the fix. Very, very strange. Djali and djali, sun and devil, very close to each other, very strange. There was some philosophy behind this. Fai and fal, also. Biri e bëri botën. Tham, thum, themel, tham, thum, themelum. Themeluam. Kush do de, e kush de do. So that was some ancient and some beautiful words from our Albanian authors. So I didn't credit any of the Albanian authors here, but I will. Everyone from Nicola to Petruđej to Dalipai to all these great Albanian authors who have done amazing work in gathering our language. But unfortunately, they're too preoccupied with the whole Pelasgian, and I don't know, there are many origin stories there, but we're actually looking at Indo-European. So there was no Albanian back then, there was Indo-European. We were one family, and we need to remember that. So that concludes today. Thank you very much. See you next time.